What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, coming at you with my hands-on and first impressions video of the OnePlus Nord N200 5G. So let's get started. Now, this device did launch back in July of 2021, so at this point, it's not exactly a very new phone. But that being said, I haven't had a chance yet to make any videos about it, and I really wanted to, so I suppose better late than never. And I'd imagine that we'll probably be getting the successor to this phone, the OnePlus Nord N300, within the next 4 to 5 months. Now, I'm not sure what exactly we'll be getting with that device and what different extra features and improved specifications it will be gaining over this one, but I'm sure as time goes on, we'll have a better idea of that. Now, since being launched, the OnePlus Nord N200 is a very popular phone. It's being sold both factory unlocked, and it's being offered at a variety of different carriers as well. Now, I know, for one example, this phone is being sold at Metro by T-Mobile, and it's been very popular over there. And in many situations, they're even offering this phone for free for people who switch in from another carrier. So the point is that if you do decide to get this phone factory unlocked, you will be paying quite a bit more, but if you do want to get it through a carrier, you might be able to save quite a bit of money in comparison. Of course, you're then limited with using this phone at that carrier, but depending on your specific situation, that might be the way to go. Now, before I show you a variety of different things about the device, let's take a closer look and see what all comes included here in the box. So here's the box. You can see right there, N200. Included is some literature about the phone, including some safety information. We also have a USB-C cable for charging and data transfer, and we have an 18-watt wall adapter. So it is pretty nice that we are getting this premium wall adapter, considering this is a budget device. And also getting 18-watt fast charging with the phone will give you a really good experience because you'll be able to quickly recharge the battery. Now, with the OnePlus Nord N200, we're getting a very large 6.49-inch display. Now, the display itself is IPS LCD. It is a 90 Hz display, so you're getting a little bit of a faster refresh rate compared to 60 Hz smartphones, which up until recently has mostly been the norm. The display itself is 1080p. We're getting a PPI of 405, a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a more narrow but taller form factor, which again is very consistent with many of the devices that have launched in the last couple of years. So I do appreciate that form factor. It certainly does come in handy, especially when you're on social media, for example, because by having this display be taller, you're able to fit more of your feed into a single frame, which means that you're going to be doing less scrolling. Now, with this device, we are getting an 83.7% screen-to-body ratio, so in general, pretty small bezels all throughout. Now, the bottom bezel here is a little bit thicker, but in general, I think the phone does have a very nice form factor here. Now, in the upper left corner, we do have a hole punch for the front-facing camera, and that front camera is 16 megapixels. Now, with this device, we're getting 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and we're also getting microSD card expansion with that. So I do appreciate that we are getting quite a bit of storage built in here, and if that's not enough for you, and you want to offload some of your photos and videos, for example, then you always can add in a microSD card. I also find it very interesting that we are getting microSD card expansion with the phone, considering that the flagship OnePlus 9 and OnePlus 9 Pro do not have microSD card expansion. So sometimes by going with a lower end device like this one, you're actually getting more features than you would with a more premium one. Now, one feature that this phone does not have is wireless charging. So you will have to get a more higher end phone if you do want a feature like that. But this device does feature a fingerprint sensor on the right side. So we'll give that a try right now. Nice and quick and responsive. One more time. Very cool. And I'm definitely a big fan of that placement because if you're already going to be tapping your finger on the power button to turn on the display, then why not have it double as the fingerprint sensor? And then in addition to having a fingerprint sensor, the phone also features face unlock. So I do appreciate that OnePlus is giving us multiple methods for accessing the phone here. Now, on the back side of the device, we do have a triple camera setup. We're getting a 13 megapixel main camera, a 2 megapixel depth sensing camera, which does assist with portrait mode, which we do have for both the rear and front cameras, and we're getting a 2 megapixel macro camera for close-up images. So unfortunately, there is no ultra wide angle camera here with the phone. That certainly is a bit disappointing, considering that at first glance, when you see that there's 3 different cameras, you kind of do expect to have an ultra wide, but I suppose at least we are getting the macro camera and some pretty decent portrait mode abilities. So you can't really get everything at a budget price like this one, but at least we are getting quite a few features when it does come to the cameras. Now here's how things look on the camera app on the device. This is with the main camera right here. Then from there, we can switch over to the More tab to access the macro camera to get those nice close-up images that are still in really good detail. We also have portrait mode to get those blurred out backgrounds. And then flipping around to the front-facing camera, we get the same thing. So portrait mode for the front-facing camera, or if you want to, you can just take standard selfies as well. So pretty interesting there. And then for video recording, we do get 1080p for both the front and rear cameras. Now, as far as RAM and processor go with this phone, it is a more entry-level device, so keep that in mind here. But we are getting 4 gigabytes of RAM and the Qualcomm Snapdragon 480 5G processor. So in general, I'm pretty happy with that configuration. Of course, compared to a higher-end $1,000 smartphone, for example, you're not getting nearly as good of performance, but you're also paying a fraction of the price. So keep that in mind. Now, I did run a Geekbench 5 benchmark test here with the phone, and I'll show you the score from that test right now. But essentially, I got a single-core score of 463 and a multi-core score of 1584. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone and then compare your scores to these scores to get a better idea of whether or not the OnePlus Nord N200 5G is going to be a performance upgrade for you. Because it is possible that the phone could be slower than your current device. So these numbers really don't mean anything unless you're comparing them directly to the numbers that another device can generate. But from my experience of using the phone, things do run pretty smoothly here. Definitely having that 90 Hz refresh rate does give you kind of a better illusion that the phone is quick. But at least in addition to that, things do run well enough here for most of the regular tasks that you would be doing with the smartphone. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this device does feature a 5,000 milliamp hour internal battery, so quite a bit of battery capacity there. And we're getting 18 watt fast charging. So it's one thing to have a big battery, but being able to recharge that battery pretty quickly is yet another added bonus here. Now, as far as software goes, this device originally did feature Android 10, but has since been updated to Android 11. So I do appreciate that we already have gotten a major software update with the OnePlus Nord N200, and hopefully the phone eventually does get Android 12 as well, because Android 12 is currently out. And another added bonus with this device is that we do get NFC. So if you do like to make mobile contactless payments, then you can do that here with the phone. It's certainly a great feature, and it's something that is becoming more and more popular as time has been going on. But now that we've talked about a variety of the different specifications of the OnePlus Nord N200 5G, let's take a closer look at the hardware. Now, I already talked quite a bit about the front panel here, but in general, it has a nice looking display, pretty small bezels all throughout. The phone is made completely out of plastic, besides the front panel, which is glass. But despite that, it still does feel of decent quality and also has a pretty premium look to it. Now, taking a look at the left side of the phone, we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card, volume up, volume down. Then on the right side of the phone, we just have the fingerprint sensor, which is also the power button. Then up top here, we have the noise canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the phone, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. And then on the back of the device, we have the camera module and OnePlus logo. Now, I'm a big fan of this finish on the back of the phone. It does pick up some fingerprints, which is a bit unfortunate, but in general, I do like this matte finish. I think it does make the device look a bit more premium than maybe it is, and I wish more smartphone manufacturers went with this instead of a pure glossy back. But in general, I think the OnePlus Nord N200 5G is a pretty interesting lower-end phone. I do appreciate that we do have 5G connectivity with it. That definitely will help future-proof the device. And in general, I feel like OnePlus gives us the right features, build materials, but at the same time compromises to make this phone a really solid value. You're not getting all the features that you would get with a much more expensive phone, but at the same time, this is still a decently stylish device. And if you just pick this up without knowing the specifications of it, it does feel a bit more expensive and higher end than it actually is. But this is the OnePlus Nord N200 5G. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Kevin here, and I will see you in the next one.